What's up, you beauties? Welcome to High and Wide Radio, episode 4 of season 6. I'm your host, Jim Icavone. You might notice Jack Smith is not with us tonight. He's under the weather. But I'm joined by the one and only Travis Ballinghoff. If you're listening live or watching live on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed and set an alert for future shows. And if you're listening as a podcast, please make sure you're listening and subscribed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to get your notifications for future shows and episodes the minute we upload them. Trav, big show tonight. Last one before the Flyers regular season is officially underway. We'll, of course, talk about the roster a bit. I want to get to some of your potential standout players. Not so much hot takes, but, I want to know who you think is going to lead the team in goals, things like that. And we'll have a nice little season preview episode. So
Love it.
the first thing I want to talk about right off the bat is there's a couple young kids that made this roster. Well, it appears they've made the roster anyway. Today's Tuesday. We have a couple more nights until the Flyers actually play. Rasmus Ristolainen is starting out on the injured list. At least today he's on there.
Mm-hmm.
Will he be there come opening night? I'm not sure. But let's talk about guys like Bobby Brink, Emil Andrae, and of course, Tyson Foerster, who it appears they've made the team as of now.
Yeah, I mean, how long have we been talking about Bobby Brink? I mean, the dude, he deserved it. He earned it. Strong rookie camp, strong development camp, took it right into the preseason and the regular training camp, and he deserved it. I'll be honest, I was a little surprised Wade Allison was waived. I was surprised he cleared as well. I'll be completely honest. I think he deserved to make the team over Tyson Foerster. From what they were running at practice this morning or morning skate, it seems like Tyson Foerster is going to be a healthy scratch first game of the year, which I'll be honest, I'm not against it. I kind of think that's what the opening night lineup should be. But he'll get in there soon. Maybe this is just Torts being like, hey, we need you to be better. You'll get a shot, but you're not in there tonight. A lot of young defensemen made it. Looks like they're going to carry 3 goalies as well. Can't say I'm a big fan of Felix Sandstrom making this team. I'm not really a fan of having 3 goalies on the roster in general. I think you're taking reps away from one of the goalies in practice, and I don't like that idea at all. And then you kind of get into his level of talent as an NHL goalie. I'm not really sure why he's here. The young defensemen, we got Andrae and Zamula. I was confident Zamula would make the team just because of the whole waivers thing. Andrae had an up and down camp in my eyes, but he has shown a lot of flashes. So pretty exciting time right now.
Yeah, I think it's a solid mix on the roster. You don't want too many kids, or at least I don't, right? I mean, you have Foerster right off the bat. You have 3. You mentioned Zamula, that's 4, right? So we're counting Andrae, Brink, Foerster, Zamula. Did I miss anybody? I mean, it's still a young roster even without those guys. I think I saw they're in the bottom or the top 10 or bottom 10 in terms of youngest roster in the league. They're like 26 years old, something like that on average. So I mean, it's not an old roster. But of course, there's players like Couturier, Atkinson, and you add in guys like Stahl and Sealer who will raise that average up. But I'm excited, to watch players like Bobby Brink. I think he's going to get the biggest opportunity when the season starts. And I think you mentioned in today's practice, they had him on the top line with, I think was it Farabee and Couturier?
Yep.
So that's something interesting. I mean, Couturier, he's going to be solid defensively no matter what, I think. Offensively, we'll see. How fast can he shake the rust off? It's going to be interesting seeing a guy like Brink play with Couturier. Maybe he gets him going a little bit. Maybe they feed off each other. And you got a Farabee who I think is somewhat being forgotten about. Maybe he didn't light the world on fire during camp, but this is a guy that came into camp. He's healthy this year. He got the full summer workouts and whatnot. he's kind of flown under the radar, in my opinion, Joel Farabee. So all last year, I was saying, wait for a healthy Joel Farabee under a Tortorella. Let's see now. I'm expecting at least 25 goals from Farabee. I think you have to expect that first round pick. Even though he didn't play as many games, let me just double check this real quick. I think he had new career highs in assists or something last year. Yeah. So he did play 82 games. I forgot. Last year was his first full season, and he was not healthy for. I mean, I don't want to say not healthy, but came back a little sooner than we thought.
Right.
A new career high in assists and points. So he's coming into this season healthy. He's going to be a guy that I'm going to watch this year. Only 23 years old. We're talking about kids. He's still a kid. Maybe he's a vet from. This is going to be his 5th season already. 23 years old, you're still a kid. So let's see what Farabee's got this year,
Kind of crazy to think he's like 3 years younger than Wade Allison, who
It
we've
is,
barely
right?
ever seen.
Yeah, it's true. And you mentioned Wade Allison earlier. It sucks, right? Because we know what kind of guy he is, good guy and all that. You want to root for a guy like him. When they put him on waivers, did I expect that to happen? No, because you could just send Foerster down or Brink, whoever. I didn't think he was going to be claimed, though. So I guess the move somewhat made sense from both perspectives, right? From Allison's perspective, if another team claims him, he's going to have to be on their NHL roster. So you're giving him an opportunity somewhere else. If he clears waivers, now you have a player like Wade Allison playing for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, who are going to be pretty good this year, So in my opinion, when looking at this stuff, it's easy to be Homer fans and, Wade Allison, former 2nd round pick, this and that. You can put the puck in the net. All he needs is consistent playing time. At the end of the day, we have to look at this player and who's going to claim an often injured, bottom 6 winger. And you're either going to be stuck with him on your NHL roster, or you're going to have to, waive him. You're going to put him through that process again. So, when they waived him, I'm like, well, he's going to clear. He's going to be stuck on someone's roster. If not, and then when he gets hurt, now you're paying a guy for the injured list. So I thought that was an interesting situation. I'm glad he passed. So we're Allison fans. Let me see. What else was with the roster you said? He mentioned Zamula.
Felix?
Sandstrom is a 3rd goalie. What do you think about that little scenario there? Do you think there's something... what do you think about the carrying 3 goalies, Trev?
Well, I am surprised. I wonder... So the whole time I was kind of thinking like, okay, maybe they just wait until Tampa makes a move for a goalie, whether that's claiming Martin Jones, who was on waivers. I was waiting for Alex Lyon to go on waivers. He never did either. I was thinking he might be like the deciding factor in all this. He's with Detroit now, and they did not put him on waivers. I was surprised by that. I was thinking maybe the Flyers wait until they make a move, Tampa does, and then they send Felix down. Maybe that's still the case. I don't know. Like I said, I don't like carrying 3 goalies just because you're taking reps away at practice from a guy. I don't really ever remember a situation where a team kept 3 goalies and actually liked it and didn't go back to 2 shortly after. And then just you kind of look at him at the NHL level and his talent, and I just don't think he's an NHL player. So I'm curious how long this lasts, because I don't think it will be long. They must they must see something in practice that I don't see, that okay, this guy's actually really good. I don't know. Very confusing.
So here's my thing. I think we talked about Sandstrom. I think it was on this show maybe, I don't know, a couple months ago or something over the summer. Sandstrom, in my opinion, I think he's at least an NHL backup. Or a guy that can get in a couple games and, hold you over. In my opinion, right? I don't remember the episode, and I don't remember the stats, but he played in a lot of the second game of back-to-back games with the Flyers last year, and the Flyers weren't very good in those games, and often got their butts whooped. I just can't help wondering if there's something to that, because when the Flyers had rest, his record and his numbers were a lot better.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have them saved. I'm not sure what I did with the notes. Didn't think I would be talking so much about Sandstrom tonight, but yeah, his numbers when the Flyers were playing in a game that wasn't a second game of a back-to-back, his numbers were pretty decent. I think he still gave up over three goals a game, but like at the Flyers last year, I mean, they weren't very good. But his save percentage was considerably better. The second game of back-to-backs, I mean, there were times where he was, out of position and sprawling all over the place, and you don't want to see that, but how much of that has to do with the play in front of you as well? And I hate to be the guy that's like, Felix Sandstrom, because at the end of the day, like Carter Hart, Sam Ersson, why do I really care so much about Sandstrom? But if we are, looking at these guys as assets, then you don't want to lose them for nothing, I guess. If you think there's a real shot that Sandstrom could be claimed, and then I guess if that is the case, like you could just always send down Ersson and figure something out. But so you have to give credit to Torts in this sense too, because the guys that deserve to make the team, he found a way to keep them on there. So he's staying true to his word in that sense, right? Because it would be really easy to be like, well, we could just send Ersson down and we don't have to worry about anybody getting claimed. Instead, Ersson played well enough to make the team. We got to figure something out because he deserves a spot. Same with Bobby Brink. Same with, maybe Tyson Foerster, whoever. Maybe he thought they deserved to make the spot over Allison, so he took the shot, sent Allison down. Torts is staying true to his word, whether you like him or not. So interesting. We'll see how things play out in the next few days with Sandstrom, because that's a little foggy, that scenario, in my opinion. And the Hockey Canada report, I think, has to come out sometime. No. Yeah, right. Like it's not going to come out now, right? The season started tonight and it didn't come out. I'm a little shocked by that. So we'll see, man. We'll see. I can't imagine now that they're. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. So anyway, what else stands out to you on the roster tonight? I saw that they had Sanheim and York paired up on the top pair.
That'll be interesting. I don't love that fit together, and I think they tried that for a very, very short time last year, and it didn't stick very long. But at the same time, what do you do? Who would you pair York with if you go back with Sanheim and Stahl or Sanheim and Risto? Are you putting York with Sealer? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Risto actually plays Thursday night.
Yeah, me neither.
I could see them activating Risto and then putting Sandstrom on waivers to free up the spot.
There is something to that. I forget what it was, but there's less of a chance he gets claimed if they do that. Correct? Did you see that? I can't remember who it was or what exactly it was. Things have been a little fuzzy over here.
So someone just had a theory that maybe he would pass if they waited a couple days.
See, I would have put him down when like every team was cutting like 3 and 4 players, because maybe he would have just snuck through, right? Because now if you do it, it's like, oh, there's a player on waivers and it's Felix Sandstrom, the only one. Yeah, I don't know. Does Tampa Bay need a goalie that bad? Who's their goalie?
Oh, it's some rookie, and he's not very highly thought of. I forget his name, but like Frank Saravalli said, if you were to rank every goalie in the NHL, starters and backups, all 64, he would be number 64. That's what Frank said. So I don't know. Like maybe they go get Brian Elliott back, who was there last year. Halak's a free agent still.
Right there, if he's that bad, there are guys out there.
Yeah,
I'm looking at Jonas Johansson,
that's
Matt
it.
Tompkin. Oh, it's Johansson.
Uh-huh.
So I think he bounced between. I want to say he was with. I want to say Colorado. So last year, okay, he was with the Avalanche twice. He played 3 games with the Avalanche, started 2 games, actually went 2-0 with a 210 goals against average, 932 save percentage. That's interesting.
Not bad.
Yeah, but I mean, if you put up those numbers, and I think they still sent him down to the minor. Actually, you know what? Francouz got injured last year, but even still, just to get in 2 games. Yeah, interesting. It'll be interesting. I don't think anybody feels bad for the Avalanche. And if they're looking at Felix Sandstrom, that's how you know things are.
Tampa, yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah, Tampa. Yeah, I don't know. I know if the, go ahead.
I was going to say just flip them, Danny B. Straight in Tampa.
Yeah, 7th round pick, anything, 6th round pick.
Kucherov.
Yeah, go get him. Go get Cooch. Yeah, what else stood out here? Zamula, do you think Zamula is going to play opening night?
If Risto doesn't, probably. Yeah, that's tough. I don't think Andrae plays game 1, whether Risto's in there or not. So maybe it just comes down to him.
Yeah, I would. Sorry, dude. I'm watching a video here of Connor Bedard. Did you see this? First game jitters. He forgot his stick.
Yep.
He's gonna score 90 goals this year.
You might be able to see him back corner. They're singing the anthem right now. Anyone who's watching, we could stream the game here without getting caught.
Can we?
Probably not, but
I actually do think there's a way. All right, sorry. Maybe next time we'll get that going. Oh, we got some people checking in the comments. Sorry, guys. I was watching. We got Eric. I believe roster will be 2 players younger by trade deadline. And we have Zach. He wasn't bad with the Avs. Oh, Zach, I think, lives out in Colorado. He probably watched him, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Excuse me. Okay, so let's get into the season a little bit more now that we covered the roster. So a lot of people are picking the Flyers to finish dead last in the division, Trav, and maybe last in the conference. Now, they have improved over the summer, but I think some other teams may have as well. You think they finish last in the Metro?
Yes.
Okay.
So how I have things shaking out is 3 teams out of the Metro make the playoffs. Just 3. That would be Carolina, New Jersey, and New York. At 4, I'll go Pitt. At 5, I'll go the Islanders. Both miss. At 6, I'll go Washington. No, you know what? 6, I'll go Columbus. 7, I'll go Washington. 8, I'll go Philly. Like some of them teams just above us, like, dude, the Caps had a terrible offseason. Really, the only thing they did was fire Laviolette.
Mm-hmm.
They had so many man games lost due to injury last year, whether that's Wilson, Backstrom, Carlson, like major guys in their lineup. But I don't really think their roster's that good on paper anymore.
No.
Do another year older.
Yeah.
I mean, Rasmus Sandin was really good last year, and I'm sure they're excited to have him for a full season there. But I definitely think Washington finishes bottom 3. I don't think they want to. I think they're going to try to continue winning there as long as Ovi's there. But like, I don't know if you have to take a couple steps back because their roster's real weak. And you kind of look at Columbus as well. Like, they're in the same boat of kind of us in Washington as well with the injuries last year and how many man games they lost. I believe they led the league by the most. Line A playing center is pretty interesting, just because you kind of think of him and the stereotypes that come with him, and it's like, well, this guy's like the last guy you want playing center. But I don't see a problem with trying it. And then you got Johnny there. Defense is pretty good on paper with Werenski on your top pair, and then Provy Severson as your second pair. We'll see if Provy bounces back. Like, as we know, we heard a lot of different things about Provy. Is he going to like being on the second pair behind Zach Werenski? Is he going to mind being on the second power play at times? He didn't like that kind of stuff here, so we'll see how that works in Columbus. I could see Philly being over Columbus. Like, you fire your coach like right before training camp, so you might not have been on ice doing things with him yet, but like, you're obviously learning about his system and his tendencies, and you got to like kind of learn from a brand new guy right before training camp starts. That's pretty interesting. So I do see the Flyers being last, but I think you could kind of shuffle around those bottom three teams.
Yeah, it's interesting because the Blue Jackets had a lot of injuries last year, so they're going to be a different team by default this year. You mentioned a lot of their stars: Gaudreau, Line, Werenski, and then they added guys like Severson, Provorov, and they have Merzlikins in goal, who was not very good last year.
I think he bounces back.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll be the worst goalie in the league again.
No, I think I would agree with you there. How much they improve will be interesting. It's also, they got Alexander Teixeira back. Remember him?
Mm-hmm.
Took a year off. Texier, is it Texier?
I believe so.
So yeah, they're going to be an interesting team to watch, and yeah, they'll be interesting. You mentioned the Capitals. I think for Washington, it's let's get Ovi the goal record, right? There's really not much else they can play for. They got a bunch of aging vets there. Backstrom, even Ovechkin's 38, TJ Oshie 36, all getting paid big money. Carlson's there for 3 more years, 33 years old. So they got Darcy Kemper in goal, 33 years old, signed for 4 more seasons.
That's a weird one.
It is weird.
It's a guy who, like, when he was with the Coyotes, I thought he was pretty decent, better than, the team that he was playing behind. And then, like, he goes to Colorado and they won the cup, but like, he was inconsistent out there. And it was kind of the same thing in Washington. I don't know. I didn't realize he was that old. That's a bit of a rough one.
Yeah. I think they're trying to keep a team together for maybe one last run or 1 or 2 last runs, but they didn't really do a great job of putting one together. Like Anthony Mantha, like, fell off the planet.
Yeah.
He's got 1 year left, 29 years old. Wilson, they just gave him a massive contract for him, but like, I don't know.
They're going to regret that one in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Kuznetsov's been demanding a trade for like 2 years. Him and Lavi didn't get along, I guess. I don't know. I don't think Washington's going to be very good.
No. And so we're kind of talking about, will the Flyers finish last in the division? And I don't know. I guess it's possible just because the teams maybe in front of them are better. But I don't think the Flyers are going to be bad, Trav. Like,
okay,
you look at their roster, and it's a fun little roster. Like, it's not going to win a Stanley Cup tomorrow or anything like that. Not going to win a
cup tomorrow.
But like, you're looking at Carter Hart in goal with Sam Erstrom backing him up. Those are potentially 2, quality NHL goalies. We look at the defense, and that's where things could get ugly, I think. like big time ugly. I know, so you mentioned Travis Sanheim had a really good camp. I think you said you were impressed with him the most out of anybody in camp. So I hope they're going to need him to be their best defenseman, potentially their leader back there. There's a lot of pressure on him. No defender aside from Andrae is signed for more than 2 years. right now. And of course, Sanheim.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Risto.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Risto's on the IR. I missed him there. So, yeah,
How could you forget about Rasmus Ristolainen?
I know. I was
How
going to
dare
say,
you?
something, but I'll save it for after the show. So, I mean, we're looking at Sanheim. John Tortorella had some positive things to say about Sean Walker today.
Crazy.
Did you see that?
I did. I didn't know Torts liked complimenting players in the media.
So I thought it was interesting because this guy's a player. Like, you listen to some other shows, you think this guy's a scrub. Sean Walker's not a scrub. This guy can play. And I think, I don't want to say this is a guy Flyers fans are going to fall in love with when they watch him, but I think this is the right city for a guy like Sean Walker. Like, they can appreciate a player like this, I think. So yeah, I wasn't really understanding a lot of the hate that he was getting, and I know he was sort of a cap casualty for the Kings, but for the Flyers, this is a guy that they can use potentially in their top four. And I'm not. That doesn't say anything great about their decor that Sean Walker is going to be in. That could potentially be in their top four, but he's not a bad player. Teams are going to come calling for him around the deadline. I guarantee it. He's making 2.65 for this season and the last year of his deal. I'm just happy Torts noticed it and mentioned him, because I didn't hear anybody mention him in the media. And like I said, you listen to some other shows, some people are really down on him. I don't think they've watched Sean Walker. He's just solid. He's just a solid player. So I wanted to shout that out. Then we have Cam York, of course, and you watched a little bit more preseason than I did. The one or two games I did watch, I was neither impressed nor unimpressed with Cam York. I think he was just, doing his job kind of out there. What did you think of Cam York?
Yeah, that very first game where they got blown out by Jersey, that wasn't pretty. But yeah, it's really hard to cry about that because the whole team was bad that night. But yeah, I agree with you. Nothing really stood out as wow. Besides that first game, I didn't think there were a ton of mistakes. Just kind of looked like a guy banging rust off, trying to get ready for the regular season. Yeah. Nothing really crazy stood out to me from Cam York, but I think he's going to have a big year, and I'm excited to watch him play.
Yeah, I hope so. They're going to need him to take a step this season. What does a big step for Cam York look like for you, Trav?
40 points would be nice. Can we get 40 points?
So what is that, like 5 goals, 35 assists?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Something I thought was interesting, I went back and looked at some of his career stats all the way back into came up with the U.S. development team, I believe. He was never a big goal scorer.
Right.
So, but he did have 14 goals with the U.S. national development team back in 2018-19. And then hasn't really put up much since then. So I'm not sure what to expect from Cam York, but I'm not expecting a lot of goals. So yeah, we're going to need to see some assists. And if he's going to be playing on the power play, that's going to be if he's got a lot of assists, that means there are a lot of goals. So that'd be nice. I don't want to harp too much on Cam York. We'll keep things flowing here. Let's move into, did we miss anybody you wanted to talk about on the defense?
No, I kind of agree with you. I don't think Sean Walker will be here for the long haul. Look, I mean, the guy had a pretty bad lower body injury, and it kept him out a whole lot of games. I guess he's really impressed Torts, so cool with me, and hopefully he turns into a nice trade deadline trade chip for us.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's get to the offense a little bit. Probably the strength of this Flyers team right now. And then I just want to get to maybe a couple of predictions of yours for a couple of the players. Let's get to some comments first, if that's cool. Teddy checking in.
Teddy
These
ball
refs
game.
are lame. Welcome to another season of the NHL. Hockey has started, huh? Two teams I hate, Pittsburgh and Chicago. It's going to be the nonstop gagging on Bedard. Don't forget Crosby.
Someone scored.
Here's a question for you, Trav.
Uh-oh.
Do you guys think Chicago should have faced a bigger penalty for what they hid in 2010? Blows my mind. Bedard is on that franchise. Keyword blows.
Yeah, I would have liked to see something more than the little pee-pee smack they got. It really didn't get nothing.
Arizona gets draft picks taken away for what did they do?
Yeah,
I don't even remember what
tampering
they
at the
did.
combine. I forget what they did exactly, but yeah, I do remember that.
Okay. But I mean, Chicago just hides a sexual assault scandal and just nothing at all, right? They didn't get anything. Did they get fined or anything?
Yeah, I think so, but it was like,
Yeah, slap on the wrist
yeah,
or pee-pee smack, as you say.
yep.
Okay, so let's get to some forward predictions here. The fourth line obviously is set. I don't think we're expecting massive offensive production from the fourth line, but it's looking like the Laurier, Poling, and Hathaway, which perfectly fine with me. I'm going to enjoy watching that fourth line. Let's get to the top line. Couturier, I think we talked about this one already. Couturier, Brink, and Farabee. I'm not sure that's going to stay like that for long.
Right. I was thinking that as well.
Right? Like maybe that's even just a look. Like, hey, Brink, hell of a camp. This is what you'd look like on the top line. You know what I mean? What are you expecting from Sean Couturier this season? It's a tough one.
I expect well, what I expect is a slow start. I think he's going to continue to have to build his body back up to game shape and game speed that it was at years ago. I mean, it's been a year and a half since he's played, besides the last couple of preseason games. I expect a slow start from him. I'm not really going to be worried about is Coots not the player he was. We'll come down that road many months from now if he does indeed get off to a slow start. I think it's all just kind of knocking rust off and staying healthy with him. And hopefully the second half he's able to be close to a point per game player. I mean, that's probably perfect world, right?
Yeah. I don't know what to expect from him. He there were like flashes, I think, during a couple preseason games I watched where I'm like, okay, like sort of looked like Couturier there, but I think I mentioned on the last show, like he's already not a fast player and kind of stood out for being a little extra slow. We'll see. I'm not expecting. I don't want to put expectations on Couturier. Like it might suck to say, and I think I said this before and you didn't like it, but get a season under your belt. You know, stay healthy the entire year. Prove that you can stay healthy. Let's avoid injuries and let's see what happens moving forward. Kind of deal. It's such a crappy situation, man, because you can't really. I mean, unless you tell them to go all out, and if something happens, like it was going to happen anyway, kind of thing. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect with Coots there. I mentioned Farabee. I'm looking for at least 25 goals. I think he has the potential to be. And we say maybe we say this too much, but he has the talent to be a perennial 30-goal scorer, in my opinion, every year. 30-30 guy is what I see Farabee as. And if he can produce like that, huge boost to the team. A player that I think a lot of us are going to be watching this year, Trav, is number 74. Owen Tippett had a career year last season. Let me get the numbers. 27 goals and 49 points. Can he...
How many games was that?
77.
77, okay.
Can he add to that?
Yes.
Can he score 30? Can he
Big
break
time.
60 points?
Yes. I mean, you remember like last year at the beginning of the year, he had that concussion that he got first game of the year. And then it's just kind of like it was a roller coaster for a while, and it was a lot of peaks and a lot of valleys, and then I don't really remember the time frame, maybe halfway, a little bit before halfway through the season, like the guy just took off, and it kind of started out slow on the score sheet, right? He was taking 10 shots a game, but maybe they wouldn't all hit the net. And then there'd be a couple games where he goes invisible. And then out of nowhere, I mean, this guy was just like the best player on the ice every night. You remember Konechny got hurt a couple of times, and Tippett was playing way north of 20 minutes a night, which you don't see a ton from a forward. And he looked really good. If we were to have like a breakout kind of thing, I kind of think he broke out last year, but I expect him to take another step. I'm not sure about 40 goals this year, but I expect more than 30.
That would be nice. Like they have I don't want to say they have a handful of guys, but the Flyers have quite a few players, in my opinion, that can score 30 goals. Will they all do it in 1 year? You remember that 1 year where they had so much depth? They had like guys on the third line scoring like 30 goals. It was back when Hartnell was on the team. I don't remember who else off the top of my head, but
I'm thinking, was that the 13-14 year?
may have been. Well, the reason I think that is somewhat important is because the Flyers, I mean, eventually they'll have a stud in Michkov and hopefully Gauthier coming over. But right now they don't have that star. So if you have depth, if you have second and third line guys that can put the puck in the net, 20, 25 goals, you can win some games. But yeah, Tippett, I could see 30 goals. I think his confidence grew as the season went on. And so much like Brink came into this season, I mentioned if he hit the ground running in camp, he could really open some eyes, Bobby Brink. That's what he did. If Tippett can hit the ground running the way he finished last year, I absolutely agree. The sky's the limit with Tippett. He could score 30 goals. Will he eventually be 40? I don't know. But 30, I think, is absolutely within reach this year. I think the Flyers are going to score a couple goals this year. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch. They might lose some of these games, obviously, but I think offense won't be as much of a problem, or at least we'll see improvement, which is what we're watching for right now. We're watching because we want to see these guys improve and get better. So Tippett's going to be a guy we absolutely keep an eye on. I want to know from some of our viewers, who do you guys like to lead the team in goals this year? Who do you like to lead the team in points, assists? I want to know. Mention in the comments here. Trev, let me ask you. Who leads the team in points this season?
I got Konechny for both goals and points.
See, a guy that didn't even come to mind somehow, a star.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you just said we don't have any stars on the team, but I see you tweeting all the time that Travis Konechny's a star.
It's true. It's true.
My thing is, you kind of look at this roster and the lines and the depth chart. The forwards aren't bad, right? You don't have your Stamkoses, Kucherovs, them kind of game breakers. Maybe Konechny, if he continues to build off of last year, because we did see it at times last year. Maybe he can be a kind of guy like that. My thing is, you look at the defense. How are they going to get the puck up the ice out of their zone?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because you look at that forward core, you have a solid like middle six, bottom six. I really like the fourth line. You might not have a Stamkos, Point, Kucherov line, or a Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak, McKinnon and Rantanen and Landis. You might not have a line like that with like 3 game breakers. Like I said, we'll see what TK can do. But you look at the second and third lines, they're not bad. That fourth line, they've been like really good both preseason and training camp. Kind of at both ends of the ice. I've been pretty impressed with them. I don't know how this team's going to get the puck out of their zone.
We're going to find out, I guess, right? Because I'm thinking the same thing. You mentioned Sanheim put on some muscle. Can he? Is the pair that he's on going to be the stabilizing pair? I don't know. Like, if I'm going by past seasons and I'm looking at the Sanheim line as the stabilizer line, I don't want to say anything bad because I don't need Scott Lawton coming after me, but I just don't have the confidence. I have to see it to believe that Sanheim is this guy. How old is he now? 27?
Yeah, something like that.
27, dude. Hang on a second. There's no way.
I was thinking 26, but you're not far off. It might be 27.
He is. Travis Sanheim is 27 years old. Like, I'm not sure what people are expecting to happen. You mentioned, I don't know if you said it on air or not, but Brandon Montour last season had a breakout year, I think at 29. So it is possible. Just look up Montour for you here.
How many goals you scored last year? It was friggin' crazy.
Yeah, so Montour had a good sophomore season in the NHL back in 2017-18, 9 goals, 32 points. And then after that, he had 20 assists and he never scored more than 5 goals. Yeah, I mean, he was not great. He was getting scratched, traded to Buffalo, and hadn't played in a full season in his entire career. Gets to the Panthers and 4 points in 12 games in 2021. I'm sorry, 2020, 2021. 11 goals, 37 points in 21-22. And then everybody knows about last year, 16 goals, 73 points from Montour. 8 goals, 13 points in 21 playoff games last year. A former second-round pick, 29 years old. He'll be 30 in April. So,
And you know who his D partner was last year?
I say it.
Mark Stahl, baby.
How about that? So, I wonder, that had to have something to do with bringing him in, right?
Maybe.
They had to. They had to have done their homework and said, hey, whatever you did with Montour, do it with Travis Sanheim.
Well, Jonesy was down on the ice rink level for a lot of Brandon Montour's game. He saw him up close.
That's a really good point. So we'll see. Maybe we're going to say Travis Sanheim's going to shock the world this year, maybe.
Is
Or
that
at least-
before or after your ovation?
No. Are we going to try to start that up?
I'm not.
Whenever he has the puck, just stand there, like just stand, or when he's on the ice. I mean, it worked for Trey Turner. It did.
They're not the same people.
No. Do you want to elaborate a little bit there? No?
You can go back and watch that episode from like 2 months ago.
Did we talk about it already? I hope Sanheim does well for the Flyers' sake. So we got a couple comments. Dave, Shadow 3X checking in.
Dave.
Tippett leads in goals and points. Also chimes in, Farabee isn't coming near 30.
Oh, come on, Dave.
And Teddy, Tippett in goals, Frosty assists. We need the young guys to step up. So another forward, Trav, that we hadn't talked about during the show, Morgan Frost.
Mm-hmm.
Me and you, I think, were pretty jacked up on him by the end of last season. All right. I mean, maybe we were feeding into the buzz a little bit, but at one point we were like, this is a budding star here. Do you think he's legit? Can he add on to last year's totals?
I hope so. And I think him and Torts kind of have this relationship figured out where I think for some reason, Flyers fans for a while, at least the ones on social media, they think Morgan Frost is soft. And I'm not sure why. Is that just because he's a shorter, smaller, skilled guy? He's not really small. His legs are fucking huge. But, like, I look at how the relationship with him and Torts kind of went on as the season went along. And, like, you talked about Torts hyping up Walker in the media. And I've talked about him hyping up Foerster last year in the media. Well, he was doing the complete opposite with Morgan Frost. Torts was calling him a toilet seat. He's up and down, and he very rarely had anything good to say about Morgan Frost, even when things were going well. And I wonder if that's just like Torts realized, I got to coach this kid hard. He can take it. He's not soft. I'm going to keep pushing this guy and pushing and pushing and pushing. I figured it out with this guy, and that's honestly what I think happened as the season went on. And Torts may not want to praise Frost, and that's completely fine if it continues to work on the score sheet. I was so impressed with the second half. Like that was kind of like what we always thought Morgan Frost could be. Dude had a solid wrist shot. He scored some beautiful goals, but the passing and the vision was beautiful, and he was making like A-plus passes on a nightly basis. They weren't always capitalizing on them, and that's signs of a young team, right? Let's capitalize on more of our opportunities this year. You and Tippett and Farabee and your other line mates, where you're older now. I'm looking forward to what Frost does. And I do agree with Teddy. I think Frost is going to lead the team in assists. You're muted. Maybe. Hello? 1, 2. 1, 2, bad radio. I hope you guys can hear me because I can't hear James. Okay, James left the screen. Keep going. I lost sound. Okay. So Teddy says Tippett and goals. I'm thinking. Okay, Dave in the chat's got me. Jim's bugging out over here. So Teddy said Tippett and goals, Frost and assist. We need to see the young guys step up. I would say Tippett second in goals. I could definitely see that. I could see him being first, but I just kind of I've been a big Travis Konechny fan for a long time, and I've always thought he had 40 goal potential just because of the wrist shot and just how hard he can get a snapshot off his stick. He had problems before missing the net. Uh-oh. Do we have you back?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. All of a sudden, I got a big error message, and I lost sound, and I guess you couldn't hear me. That was weird. Sorry about that.
Just talking about Tippett and Konechny.
Oh, let's go.
What are you thinking this year?
So TK, I'm thinking plus 75 points again.
Okay.
Let me see. What did he finish with last year?
Well, he only played like 60 games, maybe
That's right.
64 points in 61 games or so.
Yeah. So, yeah, Konechny was a point per game guy, 61 in 60 games. I'm thinking if he plays full season, I'm thinking, shit, man, 35 goals, 40 points. 40 assists. That's doable, I think. So if he plays an extra 22 games, I'm saying 4 goals and 10 assists in those 22 games. Doable?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't think 75 points is out of the question for Konechny if he plays the same way. He was a stud last year.
I could see 82 games, 90 points.
Yeah, let's go. So I was kind of putting my, I didn't want to do a disservice, but let's go. What is that? Like 35 goals and then what? 55 assists?
Right.
I don't see why not. Someone's going to be benefiting, and if he's going to be on the line with Tippett, and Tippett's going to lead the team in goals, why not?
I am curious about that because right now he's playing with Lawtz and Catesy, and I think that's a pretty solid line, to be honest with you, especially as a third line. But I think that all three of them guys kind of complement each other well. So
Yeah.
I'm curious how long that works because on this team, my ideal role is Travis Konechny on the top line, playing 20 minutes a night or so. But I don't know. We'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, that's true. Here's a comment. TK going to move at the deadline. If he plays that well, you have to maximize that value. What are your thoughts there, Trev?
I would prefer to keep Travis Konechny around, but I can't really disagree with that. I'm worried about the defense this year, right? But I'm not sure if they've bottomed out the roster enough to the point where are we just going to finish in the 5 to 10 range again? Or are we going to get in the bottom 3? A lot of that's going to come down to how many games does Carter Hart steal you? And I've mentioned it like 1,000 times tonight. How easy are they going to be able to get up the ice and make plays the other end?
True. That's going to be the thing to watch.
Like
Is
even like you look, they got rid of Provorov and D'Angelo. D'Angelo was the best guy we had last year of getting the puck out of our zone. And Provorov's not the same player he was a couple years ago, but I I'd rather Ivan Provorov attempt to get the puck out of my own zone rather than a Mark Stahl or a Sean Walker. So um, the defense definitely got worse. I think it was addition by subtraction, and I think it needed to happen. But I think the defense definitely got worse from last year.
yeah, I think that's going to be the number one thing to watch for. Can the defense overachieve? Because right now they're quite clearly the weakest link on the team. But can they surprise anybody? And once again, for me, that starts with Sanheim. You have York, who everyone's expecting to do big things because now he has the opportunity. Honestly, and I'm not being a jerk, I'm not expecting big things from York the same way everybody else is. And it's not that I don't like him, but I'm just like, well, let's see what he can do with his first full season of a guaranteed spot. Let's see what he can do. Do we need another player for next year? Or can York quarterback the power play? Right? Because in my eyes, Emil Andrae is knocking on that door. In my eyes, Andrae is the next quarterback of the power play one. I have Andrae over Cam York doing that. I'm not sure if Cam York can quarterback a power play in the NHL. I have to see. When I watch York, and maybe I need to watch him a little bit more closely, so maybe it's unfair. I'm not impressed. Like, and I don't mean to sound like a jerk or put my nose up when I say that. I'm not seeing maybe what everyone else is seeing when they watch Cam York. For me, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
I think a lot of people are kind of just pumping him up because they want him to be good. And the Flyers need him to be good. But when I watch him, he's just, and maybe he's only 21, 22. So all of that can come. But I'm looking for more, so what I try not to do, unless I'm absolutely sure and I can see these intangibles or not intangibles, but I can see these attributes from players, I'm not going to pump a guy up who, you know what I'm saying, Trav? Like, for me, Brink and Andrae are two guys I could clearly see. These guys are NHL players, and they'll get there when they get there. It just happened to be maybe they made it out of camp. We'll see. York, I need to watch a little bit more closely. I feel like maybe he's a guy I'll watch some film on, and hopefully he is that guy that can take his game to another level this season. So I'm not trying to knock him. So don't get me wrong there, guys. But yeah, you think I'm trying? I think I'm knocking him down a peg.
A little bit. I could tell for a while you were not a Cam York guy. I was just waiting for you to admit it on the show.
So I'm not a Travis Sanheim guy. York is like, all right, he's 5 years younger. He's a smaller guy. You already know, with offensive defensemen who can't get the puck to the goal. I instantly have an issue with that. I'm sorry. I don't know.
You're gonna have to send me video of him struggling to get the puck on that.
Well, I mean, it shows up in his goal totals, but I'll watch some tape and I'll send it over. Like, if your shot's getting blocked a lot, to me that's not getting puck to goal.
Right? Yeah, I agree with that.
It doesn't mean that you have a bad shot, but maybe your shot selection sucks, or maybe you're not seeing the lane, or you can't get the puck to where it needs to be, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just haven't seen that with him yet.
Okay. So I think a good example would be like Gostisbehere could absolutely get the puck to the goal. He had a monster shot. Towards the end, couldn't get it to the goal. It was just getting blocked, or guys were clogging the lane up, So for offensive defensemen, in my opinion, I need them to be able to pass and shoot. There needs to be like dual threat type thing. Because if you're quarterback in the power play and you can only do one of those things, if you're the defense, all you got to do is defend one of those things, right? If he doesn't have a shot, he's passing. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't, and if he, all he's got's the shot, clog the lane up, So a couple more comments here. And let's go with Mr. Twister checking in. Ghost's first year was magical. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it was.
Sure was.
Cool.
Zach, not deceptive enough from York. And that was one of the things I think you and Jack had mentioned.
Yeah, I completely disagree with that.
Yeah, so I'm going to be looking for some of that because he does dance the blue line occasionally. Here's a question for you, though, Trav. What's York's ceiling?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
I lean towards like a top pair, but like maybe like a number 2. I don't think he'll ever be a number 1. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he is a number 1. There's some people I see on Twitter that think he can be a number 1. I think a 2. I think a 2 is a realistic, not too high, not too low type of deal. How old did you say he was? 21?
21 or
22?
22. I'll make sure now. Go ahead.
I've been so impressed with this guy on both ends of the ice. For a smaller, not physical defenseman, I think he's got a great stick on him. I think he skates well. He's got a lot of puck skills. I think he is very deceptive, and he's able to make guys miss in a good way. I don't know. I've been very impressed with what I've seen from York.
Okay. Yep. He's 22 years old. Will be 23 on January 5th. Last season with the Flyers, 2 goals, 20 points, 54 games played, and played 20 games with the Phantoms, 13 points, 3 goals. So if he can improve on 2 goals and 18 assists, I mean, I don't think 35, 40 points is necessarily out of the question, especially getting some power play time. If Cam York gets 40 points, I'll be impressed.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he hits 35, I'll say, okay, solid season for York, something to build on for next season, So, and he was only a -1 last year on a bad team. I know people say plus minus doesn't matter, but it's still a pretty number to look at, when you see a plus or as close to a 0 as possible on a bad team. So something. Coming up on an hour, Trav. Anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to touch on before we sign off?
Nothing comes to mind. Just a couple more sleeps, and we'll be watching the Flyers in Columbus.
Here's a question for you and the guys in the chat. Do they win on Thursday?
Ooh.
Do they start out 1-0?
Yeah.
You thinking win in Columbus?
Yep.
It's the Provorov game. Let's not forget.
Think he's going to be jacked up? Probably not.
Yeah.
Just another game for him. He'll just be gliding around.
You don't think he's going to try to lay somebody out?
Oh,
Sanheim?
haven't seen that in a while.
No. Yeah, no. It was interesting that you brought him up earlier, and I'm interested to see how things play out in Columbus with him, especially because there's already uncertainty out there with the new coach, and he's playing on the second line. Maybe he was a little entitled out here, huh?
I think so. I think big time.
Couple yeses.
That's why I'm kind of curious how he takes this new role on a second pair.
It'll be interesting.
And there was always, like, even when Provorov was at his best, he was always compared to Werenski.
Now he's playing behind them and making $3 million less.
He can't. There's no shot he's happy with that.
No, he seems like a guy that's got a lot of pride. Pardon the pun.
Wow.
You like that?
That's where we're going.
Okay. We have Mr. Twitzer. I'm going to guess that Provy has a goal on Thursday. You going to bet that one, Trav?
Nope.
And he has a score. 4-2 Flyers.
I like that. Who scored his first goal of the season?
Oh. Should we do a giveaway if somebody gets that?
I like that.
We got a couple T-shirts left. Yeah, who scores the first goal of the season? We'll ask it on Twitter. This way everyone gets a chance to answer. But feel free to answer now. I'm going to go Delorier. My boy.
Yep. I'm going to go with my boy Scotty Lawton.
I like that one. Yeah, even though he did troll me.
You
could have done it. He could have done it. He could have done way worse. So in a way, I'm grateful.
You got a couple comments in here. Cam, Catesy.
See, he's a guy we forgot about. Noah Cates. There are a lot of players on this roster that could have nice seasons. We should look forward to watching too.
He looked pretty impressive as preseason. I thought he had the best camp out of anybody besides Travis Sanheim. But as camp got on, he got more power play time, and I was pretty impressed with a lot of the plays he was making.
This is Kate still.
Yes.
Yep. Eric Wisniewski chiming in. Sean Couturier.
That'd be sick. I would
That would
love
be
for
cool.
it to be Coots.
I'm going to root for that. That's a good one. Teddy, TK scores first. We lose in a shootout.
Ted.
Flyers shootout woes. Carry on. All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to sign off for the Flyers season preview episode.
Let's go.
We'll be back. I don't think we're going to be doing a post game. Phillies are on. It's a busy time of the year, whatnot. We'll ramp up some coverage. We haven't really put out too many articles of late. That's my fault. I'll take responsibility. But Flyers play Thursday. Everyone get excited. Hockey's back. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Cal Heater.
Got you, Jack.